Hello everyone, welcome to our social media session. My name is Alejandra. I'm the Career Learning and Development Advisor with the School of Tourism and Hospitality Management. I look forward to the opportunity connecting with you if I haven't done so already through some of your previous courses. Today, we're connecting with one of your graduate alumni students from the Bachelor of International Hotel Management, Katrina Pengelly. We're very excited to have her here today, joining us all the way from the UK, where she has been establishing herself and developing her career. We're very excited how she developed in the last months through the very uncertain times of COVID, some great initiatives for her to be what she's doing today. So we wanted for her to come and share her journey. We have as well Anne Reeves in this call. Anne, would you like to say hello?
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you for listening to this incredible video where Katrina will be sharing all of her valuable advice since graduation. I'm really excited to be here and so grateful to Katrina. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this, Katrina. We really appreciate it.
Moment to acknowledge that we're connecting today from the traditional lands, myself of the Wasanic people, here where I reside and live, and Royal Roads from the Lekwungen and Kikupson. We're very privileged to have the opportunity to connect, work as well live in these traditional lands, and for that I am very grateful. So I would like just to pass it now to Katrina because she has a great presentation to share with you. So without further ado, Katrina, it's all yours. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, both. I'm really excited to be here and to be speaking to you guys at Royal Roads University. It feels like just yesterday that I was there, but also feels like eons ago. So I'm really excited to be able to have the opportunity to speak with you today. As mentioned, I will be speaking to you about my journey in hospitality, as well as how I have been maximizing my career since COVID-19 has hit us. I know that it has affected everyone differently, but I hope that some of my tips and pointers and things that I've been doing to maximize my career and my journey during this time will be of benefit to you, whether you can take one thing or 10 things out of it. So I'll just get started. So to start off, my journey started off like probably most of you in high school, where I had almost no idea what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I knew that I wanted to work somewhere where I could interact with people, to be positive and energetic. For those that may have heard of me or know me, I'm a very loud and excitable person. So somewhere in an industry that I'd be able to really interact with people and create memorable experiences were somewhere I wanted to be. So I was lucky enough that my high school had a hospitality culinary program that partnered with a local college to give us some culinary training before we went out into the real world. So I started with that, and I really, really loved working in kitchens. I found it so entertaining, so exciting, so many things going on, really fast-paced environment. So after I graduated high school, I went to work with Cactus Club Cafe, which I'm sure many of you know, having so many locations across BC and across Canada now. When I worked for it, there was only about 10 locations, and I worked at the main location in North Vancouver, their flagship location, and I worked there for about 2.5 years. And as much as I absolutely loved cooking, I loved my team, I loved the fast-paced environment of the restaurant, one of the things that I was really missing was that interaction with people. Sure, I had the interaction with my team, but I really wanted to talk to the people on the other side of the kitchen window. You know, I'd put up a dish in the window and I'd see it get walked to a table, and I wanted to be able to run out and go ask them how it was and, you know, how my cooking was and how everything could improve. So at the same time that I was working at that restaurant, I then also got a part-time job waitressing at a local restaurant. And I absolutely loved it. The front of house experience, everything from waitressing, hostessing, bartending, expediting to floor managing. I just absolutely loved the energy that the floor of a restaurant had, and being able to talk and interact with all the guests that were there in the restaurant with me. So after I did that for another year or so, I realized that I wanted to be able to maximize my career in hospitality. So I enrolled in Vancouver Community College, a local college in Vancouver that had a hospitality management program. It specialized in hospitality management as a whole, so it focused half on restaurants and half on hotels. And within probably my first 3 months, I was wowed by the hotel industry. I didn't really realize that there was, back hallways to a hotel that when you're at the front desk, they don't actually know which room they're giving you until the moment you step in front of them. Little things like that were just so intimate and detailed. I was like, wow, what an interesting industry to be able to work in. So, by the end of that first 3 months, I was infatuated with hotels. I think I actually completely forgot that I wanted to work in restaurants at that point. And with hospitality being such a large industry, but also such a tight-knit industry, Vancouver Community College was really well respected in Vancouver and did a lot of career fairs, guest speakers, webinars, I guess, if they needed to at the time, like this, with people like myself. And one of the ladies that I connected with really well was the HR manager for the Sutton Place Hotel in Vancouver, a beautiful 5-star European-style property. And after discussing with her a little bit and going in for a couple of interviews, I was able to land a job at the front desk of the Sutton Place Hotel, which I was immensely grateful for. The experience that I got there, the training that I did, I worked in housekeeping in the restaurants as well, just to get a well-rounded knowledge of it. And I did that during my last year of Vancouver Community College as well. After I had done that for about 2 years, I realized that, the hospitality industry and possibly hotels specifically was where I probably wanted to work for the rest of my life. So I thought to myself, how can I ensure that I can build a great career out of hotel management? And that's how I found Royal Roads University. And I ended up at Royal Roads literally within 3 months of applying. I applied very late, but as I'm sure you know, sometimes you just got to make those snap decisions, and it was a wonderful, wonderful decision. For those of you that are in the condensed program, I really feel for you. I did the condensed program just like you, and I swear I don't actually even think I remember the first month. It went by so quickly. All of a sudden there was 15 presentations and 15 papers and projects and hotel site visits, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is even going on right now? But even though it was so busy and so fast-paced, with the instructors that we have being professionals in the industry and the knowledge that you gain from that course, I learned so much more in that 9 months than I think I have in my entire career in hospitality so far. So don't take it for granted, and make sure that you really take that knowledge away from you. When I was coming to the end of the program, as many of you I'm sure will possibly have the opportunity, it was time to start applying for jobs and for your internship. I was lucky enough to land a job at Fairmont Jasper Park Lodge, so one of the Rocky Mountain Fairmont properties. I went there in their Summit Leadership Development Program. Some of you may now know it as Aspire, since it's been taken over from Accor, but the same idea, where it is a 1.5-year contract where you learn all aspects of the area of the hotel that you're put in. I know that things might be a little different with COVID, but if you do have the opportunity to apply for one of these roles, it's a really amazing opportunity to be able to do a leadership development program. So I was there for 1.5 years. With my background in food and beverage, they put me focused on the food and beverage side of it. So I did 6 months in the fine dining and their breakfast restaurant, 6 months in their bar and lounge, and then my final 6 months in banqueting and events. And as I was doing my last 6-7 months in banqueting and events, for any of you that may have a little bit of experience in that role, it's crazy. Setting up conferences for 600 people that involve breakfast, lunch, and dinner and a meeting all in the same room was absolute chaos, but a lot of fun at the same time. However, when I was really busy and running around, I was able to get a little bit closer with the sales team there, because obviously the sales team who's selling the product and the banqueting team who's executing the product work very closely together. And as I'm running around the room, ensuring that everything's taken care of, ensuring that everything is absolutely perfect, I would see the sales team in the room with the clients, having a glass of wine, dining, enjoying the food and drink that was there and having a great time. And I just sat there being like, man, what a great job that would be. What an amazing job would it be to just wine and dine with everyone rather than actually running around in the back of house ensuring that everything was perfect. So when I came up to the end of my time at Jasper Park Lodge, I had also always thought that being in hospitality, being such a global industry, that I wanted to be able to work and live somewhere else in the world as well. So I talked to my boyfriend about it, and after a little bit of discussion and both realizing we only speak English and we didn't have that many actual choices of where we wanted to live in the world, we defaulted on England. So on New Year's Eve 2017, 2018, very confusing date to choose, we moved over to London. Never been here before, but touched down and decided to get our feet on the ground and go. I started applying for some sales roles at hotels, but unfortunately, because I had no sales experience, I was really getting pushed towards going back into food and beverage, but I knew that I wanted to be in sales. So one of the things I'm going to touch on a little bit before is making sure you stay connected, and I can prove that it was really worth it as I reached out to Rebecca Wilson-Maw, who's one of the instructors at Royal Roads, mentioning that I had moved to England just to see if there was any alumni in the country, and lo and behold, there was. One of my best friends now to this day, Chanel, she was working at the Savoy, and she had just moved over to a new role at a company called GP Associates, which was a sales manager role. And she had mentioned that there was an entry-level sales role, and that she could put in a good word for me with her boss. And luckily she did, because I landed that junior sales role at GP Associates. Within a year, I was promoted to sales executive, where I could go out and start wining and dining those clients that I so desperately wanted to do. And I was lucky enough that I worked with 8 five-star hotels within the UK. So not only was I wining and dining people, I was eating Michelin star meals for breakfast with a glass of champagne in hand. So not a very bad job, if I don't say so myself. After that, February 2020 came around, and I was told that if I kept up, I would be promoted in about 3 months' time to an actual sales manager, so doing that role full time. And I was really excited about that. But as I'm sure you guys can tell where this part of my presentation was going, March rolled around and we all started working from home. April rolled around and we were cut down to 2 days a week. And June rolled around, and unfortunately my position was no longer being able to be kept alive, and I was made redundant at the end of June. So as of July, 3 months after I had the promise of promotion, I was now out of work. And so, it was a really big hit for me, but as I'll touch on a few times, I took it as an opportunity rather than a negative, and I said, okay, what can I do? And I literally, as I tell people, went back to my Royal Roads University brain, and I said, okay, let's power some stuff out and let's work really hard and see what can happen. And I know that you guys can do that as well, because I know how Royal Roads is and how much hard work it is. It was so well worth it. And it really, putting that pressure on myself and going back to that university brain really helped me land a couple of jobs very recently. So now coming into what month is it? Almost November. As of August, I was given my first opportunity at a role. I actually currently hold 3 jobs, because what I will be mentioning a few different times is any job is a job. And you can't forget that. It might not be your dream job, but right now with COVID, my dream job doesn't exist anymore. There are no corporate sales roles. There are no wining and dining people in hotel restaurants. So unfortunately, my dream job isn't there, but I can't just sit around and wait for it. So while I was made redundant, I did a lot of time on LinkedIn, maximizing my LinkedIn and leveraging my opportunities on LinkedIn. I did lots of pro bono work. I did a lot of volunteering, and I participated in a lot of webinars and networking events and group discussion. And from that, in August, I set up as a freelancer, and I set up a company called Katrina Pengelly Consulting and Events. Yes, very simple, but says the point. One company called Actinio that I did some pro bono work for back in July asked me with no interview and no resume to come work for them, just because they liked my work ethic and my energy so much. And I now do business development, marketing, and PR. And yes, that is not where my background is at all, as you've just seen my journey. However, I do have those knowledge and skills from not only working in the hospitality industry, but from all the courses at RRU that I took. In addition to that, being a freelancer, I have a couple of friends that work in events who hire me on a contractual basis to assist them with online event production. So a really cool project that I just worked on was a 1-week conference for the UN, which I would have never had the opportunity to do. Over 1,000 people on Zoom, if you can imagine. It was absolute chaos, but such an amazing time and a really well executed event. And then because both of these are either part-time or very sporadic and few and far between, not only am I doing that, I'm also working part-time at a pub. So 2 to 3 nights a week and on the weekends. I'm working at a local pub just up the street and waitressing again. And you know what? I absolutely love it. Having the opportunity to be on the floor again, to talk to people, to tell them my story about where I've been, what I'm doing, has really been an amazing opportunity. Now, what I want to talk to you about next is how you can use the things that I was doing to hopefully maximize your career. Unfortunately, with the time that's going on, as I'm sure your instructors have mentioned to you before, you can't just sit around, especially during this time, and expect the job to come out. It's not going to be there. Your dream job is not going to be there unless you put in the work for it. So as I mentioned before, one of the things I did was leverage my LinkedIn. I was doing personal development, whether it was webinars, support groups, pro bono work, and did some personal branding as well, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a second. I built my network, again, from those webinars. I listened to podcasts that involved hospitality leaders, and I added people that I thought would be really great connections to have in my network. I went out volunteering, and I'll kind of talk about how I volunteered a little bit differently during COVID as well, and how something like that might be something that you could do. And then I'll talk a little bit about being prepared for the post-COVID world, and things that you'll really want to keep in mind coming out of university into this new and pivoting world. So the first thing is leveraging your LinkedIn. So as I'm sure you will have when you go into your LinkedIn training, or for those that have had your LinkedIn training, your LinkedIn page is your online resume. So you know, your work experience, your school experience, any awards or recognitions that you received, any volunteering that you do, I highly suggest you make your LinkedIn page exactly like your resume, and you really highlight all those skills. Another thing that you're going to want to have is a really amazing summary. You know, who you are, what you're doing, what you want to do, but in a way that shows your personality as well. And then for the top of your page, which you can see in the top left-hand side of the screen there, a headshot is always very important. Not a selfie. You want professional headshots, whether it's a friend that's taken it for you in some nice clothes, but people can always tell when you have your hand up. So not a selfie, of course. You're really lucky that, you know, I'm not sure if with COVID, but RRU is really amazing at kind of giving you the right pointers on how to really take that good headshot. So if you have someone that can do it with you, I definitely suggest you do that. And then your headline, the part just under your name. If you were going to be searching for jobs, rather than saying that you're a student of hospitality and that you're looking for work, using your headline to maximize people's searches is really important. When people search keywords when they're looking for people in certain roles, your headline is where people get that search information from. So for example, mine says that I'm an experienced hotel sales and events professional, freelance events, project management, and business engagement. And by saying that, if anyone searches any of those keywords, I will come up in their search. Maybe not at the top, but I will be there. And that's really important to really hit your key skills in that headline there. And then so for leveraging LinkedIn in general, you guys have a really amazing opportunity that you're currently learning everything that is going on in the industry as a course. You're doing presentations on it. You're learning directly from people like your instructors who are professionals in the industry. You're learning from them directly about what's affecting their businesses and their hotels. And as well, you're writing papers on that. So there is so much that you could be doing on your LinkedIn, even if it's just once or twice a week, where you're creating engaging content about things that are important to the industry. You know, and it can be something as simple as, you know, for myself, you can see a couple pictures of notebooks there. I bought some new notebooks and I wanted to create a bit of a discussion on LinkedIn. So I just asked the question, how organized are you? And that created a discussion with about 3 or 4 people that I had never spoken to before in my entire life. But They added me and they said, hey, I saw this discussion that you had and we chatted, and now they're a part of my broader network. And that's a really, you know, amazing opportunity to connect with people, whether it's in your local area or around the world in the industry. And then when you do post something, what I suggest as well, you'll see that I did a post regarding my redundancy. And the actual post itself is not what I'm trying to focus on. But when you do a post, I suggest reaching out to about, let's say, 30 to 50 people in your network with the URL to your post saying, hey, do you mind liking, sharing, or commenting on this? And I specifically say that because after doing a little bit of an analysis of my LinkedIn, I usually get about 60 to 80 views on my posts on average. However, for that post about my redundancy, I sent it to 150 people, and I said, I've now been made redundant. I would love if you would like, comment, or share this so that it reaches a wider network. And as you can see at the bottom of the screen there, it reached almost 5,000 people. 5,000. That was mind-blowing to me, you know, especially because my normal ones reached 80. 5,000 people was absolutely amazing. So, you know, leveraging the connections that you have on LinkedIn to ensure that the content that you're creating, the things that you want people to see, are reaching more people. The other reason why leveraging your LinkedIn is really important is, especially in this day and age when so many people are losing their jobs and fighting for roles, when you start applying for positions, you are going to be, you know, not just competing with maybe 10 or 15 people, you're now competing with maybe 100 to 200 people. So if you do make it past that first screening of your hard copy CV, the next thing that they're going to do is look at your LinkedIn. They're going to look at your online presence. They're going to look at your social media. They want to see what you're passionate about, see what you're talking about. And as I said, being at RRU and having all this knowledge being fed into you right now is the perfect opportunity to start sharing about what you're passionate about and what you're talking about in your program, which will really set you, hopefully, in the top 10 out of 200 because it shows your passion for the industry. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is personal development and branding. So one of the things that I did that I had always wanted to do actually since my time at RRU was set up a blog. I really wanted to be able to set up a blog and talk about all things hospitality, what I'm nerdy about hotels, about really beautiful staircases or really ornate ceilings. Those things, I love looking at them. I'll walk through a city and I'll pop into a hotel just so I can check out the architecture. That sounds very weird, but that's who I am. And, you know, whether that's what you're passionate about, or maybe you're passionate about sustainability and you want to talk about sustainable hotels in your area or whatever it is, the plus side to a blog is you can talk about literally anything. So I set up a brand called The Nerdy Hotelier, which is a blog written by myself that talks through many things, including my stepping stones of creating a career in hospitality. Because of COVID and my sales job being made redundant, my main focus at the beginning was to post about the hotels that I knew like the back of my hand, the hotels that I've been selling, and tell my greater network why I think that they were so amazing and why I was proud to work for them. And I've had quite a few people actually reach out to me and say, it's amazing that you are selling these hotels even when you don't mean to be selling these hotels. And that really shows passion for what I was doing. And in addition to that, again, I did my first post on LinkedIn and I shared it only with about 30 people this time. And as you can see at the bottom there, I had about almost 3,000 views on that post as well. So again, it really shows that your network can really, really assist you with sharing that with the world. And again, it doesn't have to be a blog if a blog's not your thing. Maybe it's just, you know, creating a brand and maybe putting out some videos about things that you're passionate about. As long as it's professional and it's clear and, you know, your message does make sense to what you're doing, it's absolutely a benefit to create a bit better and bigger online presence. The next thing that I would suggest is building your network. So Royal Roads has a huge alumni network on LinkedIn as well as in person as well. As I mentioned, when I was first came to England, I reached out to Rebecca and she put me in touch with Chanel. And just, you know, we had never known each other, but that connection that we had of being Royal Roads alumna really made us have that personal connection the first time we met. And not only did I get a job, I gained a best friend in a new country. So there's no harm in that as well. Do webinars on online networking. I know that you do that through school, but anyone that's come and done a presentation to you at Royal Roads University, including myself, add them on LinkedIn. Add them on LinkedIn with a personal message that says, I really wanted to connect with you because I really resonated when you said this, or I really appreciated when you said this. Building that network, you never know where that one person is going to help you land a job. As I said, where I was talking about the jobs I have now, two of them, the Actinio where I'm doing the business development and that freelance event work that I'm doing, are literally just because I was maximizing my LinkedIn and talking to people and building my network. There's also lots of groups that you can join on LinkedIn. There's obviously one for Royal Roads University alumni, but there's so many different hotel networks that you can be joining that have thousands and thousands of people in it, discussions that you can engage in and connections that you can make in hopes of assisting you when looking for a role. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is volunteering. And, volunteering has to be a little bit different now. You can't just go to, a thrift store and volunteer your time. You can't, help out at an event to sell raffle tickets, because unfortunately those roles aren't really, in a surplus right now. However, there are opportunities for you just to reach out and see how you can help. When I was back in British Columbia, I was volunteering quite a bit with the BC Hospitality Foundation, and I can still see that they're doing lots of online work through their newsletters. They're still hosting events online. How can you help them? How can that be something that you can add to your resume to show that you not only care about this industry, you care about spending your time wisely and maximizing your opportunities? I now volunteer with a company called the Springboard Charity, which is literally the London/UK equivalent to the BC Hospitality Foundation, which is really, really amazing because it really resonates as the BC Hospitality Foundation does. The Springboard Charity focuses on placing people in the hospitality industry, helping them find jobs in the hospitality industry. And they're currently doing online training. So they're calling it the Digital Hospitality Academy. And how I'm helping them is I'm helping with CV critiquing, and I'm helping people prepare for their mock interviews, finding out what types of jobs and what types of roles they're looking for, which I never really would have thought that that's how I could help volunteer with time over the computer before COVID. Another charity that I volunteered with was called Maggie's, which is a cancer center. And, I hadn't really thought about volunteering with them before, except that my old boss, her mom got very sick with cancer, and we did a fundraiser for Maggie's, and that's how I was introduced with them. I used to help them out where I was being a very loud and energetic person. I would help them sell raffle tickets at conferences and home shows and such like that. But after COVID hit, I reached out to them and I said, how else can I help you? And they had said, our head gardener, Rose, she relies on volunteers to help her with an entire acre of gardens at the center. And those volunteers would usually come from corporate businesses. However, because corporate businesses are laying all their people off, they're not giving them a day off to go volunteer. So I rallied up a couple of my friends every 2 weeks, and we go help Rose volunteer in the gardens. And it's really amazing you don't think it's something so big or so important, but when the people are visiting the cancer center and every single one of them walks by and says, oh, I really appreciate the beauty of these gardens at the hospital. It really just makes you feel really good. And then it's something that, of course, you can then shout out about on your LinkedIn to show people that you're out doing things not only for the industry, but then for others themselves. The next thing I'm going to speak about, the final thing that I'm going to speak about, is being prepared for the post-COVID world. I'm sure that all of your instructors, as I've mentioned many times, being industry professionals, are going to be the best people to prepare you for applying for jobs in COVID and for after COVID as well. However, one of the things that I really want to stress is be open. Be open to exploring different opportunities. Maybe that your skill, whether it's within hospitality or outside hospitality, is in marketing. Well, you know what? You might not be able to find a marketing role in hospitality at the moment, but you can still find roles in other industries where you can maximize your knowledge, learn more skills, and when it's time, you can come back to hospitality and show that you've been busy and you haven't been just waiting for the role that you want to come around. As I mentioned, I'm currently working for a tech company. I would have never considered in my, my whole career journey that I would be working for a tech company at the moment. But I am, and I am learning so many new skills in marketing and PR. But I'm now going to be able to go back into hotels after this is all over and say, look at the skill set that I've created during the COVID world. As well, knowing what's important to the industry right now. In your application, in your cover letter, as I mentioned before, on your LinkedIn, where they're going to go after you've passed the resume stage. Talking about what's important to the industry and being knowledgeable about how the industry is handling things at the moment is going to be really important to show your passion and your care for the industry. Using LinkedIn to stay connected. So again, as I've mentioned, I was connected with Rebecca, and that's how I was able to end up getting this role in London for my, in the first couple of weeks of living here. Staying connected and staying up to date, connecting with new people, and just ensuring that you're creating conversation is really important, and that's really going to help you have a general understanding and appreciation for everything that's going on. As well, be ready for interview questions like, what did you do during COVID, and how did you manage your mental health during COVID? These are questions that are definitely going to come up in this time. You might not be asked both, you might just be asked one or the other, but people want to see that you haven't just been sitting around. Lucky for you guys, you can say, hey, I went out and got myself a degree, and that's pretty freaking impressive. So first of all, give yourself a round of applause for that. But what else did you do? Did you volunteer? Did you build any additional skills? How did you feel? Especially with COVID, they just want to make sure that you're aware of how everyone is going to be feeling. You're going to be working as a team, and everybody has taken this very differently. Some people have come out very successful. Some people have had a lot of difficulties with COVID. So having that emotional mentality and being able to understand how people could be feeling. How did you manage your mental health during COVID? Oh, well, I went on a walk every morning, or I watched videos of animals being adopted because it put a smile on my face every morning. Whatever you did, there's nothing wrong that you've done, but being able to talk to what you have done is really going to be important and will help you solidify that role if you are in the final interview stage. And so that's it for me. I hope that some of these things that I've talked to you about today are going to be helpful, even if it's just one takeaway rather than 5 or 6. I hope that this will just kind of give you an idea of what people are looking for at the moment and how you could really be using LinkedIn and social media platforms to really leverage yourself and put yourself above the other 200 people that are going to be applying for possibly the same roles as yourselves. Please do add me on LinkedIn. As of course I've been saying, it's very important. So I'll be keeping an eye out for anyone at ROU who's adding me on LinkedIn. If you'd like to take a look at my blog, it's up there as well. It's also on my featured page in my LinkedIn, and my email is there if you'd like to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to give anyone some one-on-one time with me if they want. An hour out of my day is no harm done, and if it's something that can help you or answer any of your questions as an alumni of ROU, I would be happy to help. So thank you very much for having me.
Trina, this has been a fantastic presentation. I really, really appreciate as well for you to give some more additional time to those students who would like to connect with you. And I just want to take we're going to launch 2 questions from Anne and I, but you made a great point regarding your preparation of understanding what the industry is doing. I really appreciate that because that's part of that labor market research that we encourage our students to be doing. And I just wanted to show some students about this great resource that the School of Tourism and Hospitality Management has made available to all of you in your bridge site. So it's into your bridge of the School of Tourism and Hospitality Management site. In the landing page of your bridge, I hope you all see in my screen. Please let me know if you don't see my screen. You have this resource calling Rebuilding Tourism and Hospitality, the BC Resource Forum. I strongly encourage all students to go into that link and be able to set up the format to go to this Moodle shelf. This Moodle shelf has been going on since June, capturing videos and conversations with leaders in the industry, from the CEO of BC Hotel Association to DMOs and operators. This is a great resource for all of you as you're gaining more information, trying to stay learning the pulse of the industry, to come and navigate it. Just last week, you had a wonderful panel regarding the recovery and finance for this sector. So please, this is something that we are offering all to you. It's under the guidance of Dr. Jeffrey Bird, and I really encourage you again to go into that resource site and review it. It's going to be giving rich information to all of you to be knowledgeable as well when you're connecting with your industry. Now let's just go back, and I would like to see if Anne has any questions maybe to Katrina as we just reach the end of our presentation.
Thank you, Alejandra. Thank you so much, Katrina, for sharing all of your amazing information with the students. You're truly an inspiration. You could have easily just kind of, gone the negative route after being laid off, and you didn't do that. You went and found yourself 3 jobs. You leveraged your network, and it's your positivity that has made you so successful throughout all of this. And it takes courage to create a blog. It takes courage to get out there and do a webinar for the first time. And you're so passionate about the industry, and we're all seeing that. We saw your webinar on LinkedIn, and we're like, oh my gosh, we need to have more people see Katrina and hear from her and be inspired from her. And your message is so powerful, Katrina. So thank you very, very much. And Ali, thank you for giving a plug to the BC, the Resource Forum. I have been a volunteer on that Resource Forum since April, when Jeff Bird approached me to be the HR consultant on that forum. And I was laid off, just like you, Katrina. And I was like, oh my gosh, who am I to be an HR consultant on this resource forum? And Jeff was just like, of course, you have so much information to share, Anne. And I said, okay, great. And I just went with it. And it has been such an incredible volunteer opportunity for me. And as you were saying, Katrina, you've been volunteering, and through that, you've built other connections. And through volunteering on the resource forum with Jeff Bird, I've built other connections. And so it's just a reminder to students to just go out of your comfort zone, take every opportunity that comes towards you and say yes, 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 yes. Even if that opportunity just scares you and terrifies you, just do it. Take opportunities to be live on video instead of having your camera off. And all of those little steps that you take to go out of your comfort zone will really pay off. And Katrina, you're just such an inspiration. So thank you very much. And I don't have any questions for you. You have answered everything. I have 2 pages of notes that I have written down from your presentation, and I'd already listened to your webinar. And so myself as an instructor, there's at least 15 takeaways. So I can't imagine what the students will be experiencing. And I can't wait for them to listen. And so thank you again.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Katrina. I know it's almost your evening, end of day on this Sunday. Thank you so much. I think there's so much in here, and we're just very excited that you're part of our alumnus. And we know Chanel too. We're looking forward to connect with her too. She's another great student that as well is in the UK. And thank you for connecting that. Alumnus is so important, right? Your alumni. RU Connect is the platform that we use at Royal Roads. Hopefully you're part of it, Katrina. I don't know if you joined RU Connect, but that's another area we encourage students to navigate, learn more about their using this Royal Roads platform to find out alumnus that have maybe even identified themselves as mentors. They want to be mentors of others. So maybe have that opportunity to look at Royal Roads Connect, look at LinkedIn, use the social medias to make sure that you keep informed. Thank you for showcasing an excellent work on that area. On behalf of the program heads, I know Maura McDonald was very excited as well to see your presentation and reach out to us to make sure that we had an opportunity to connect with you. So thank you, and I'll send as well a note to Rebecca Wilson, Matt, to share how much it meant to you having her supporting your journey. Have a wonderful evening. And we hope that some students take the opportunity. Keep us posted, and maybe we can bring you back to another career fair in the future. Thank you so much, Katrina.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Katrina.